This is the walkthrough video for PCTC 2024-2025, Round 1, Pathfinder, Question 4, Table Tennis. So given 2 scores in this table tennis game, we need to figure out how many more points, at minimum, are required to complete the game. So let's input player 1, which we can call 1, and their score, and then player 2, which we can call 2, it's going to be their score. And essentially, there are 2 ways a player can win the game. So the first way is to get to 11, but alternatively, if the gap between the 2 opponents is too small, then they need to ensure that the gap is at least 2 points. So what we can do is we can say, well, the first way is let's take the biggest one of 1 and 2, so the biggest score, and then do 11 minus that, right? Because this is how many extra points are required for the currently winning player to reach 11. But of course, as we just said, this isn't the only requirement to win. The other requirement is to make sure that you're 2 points difference. So what we can do is we can find the difference between the 2 players. That's going to be player 1 minus player 2. Except that you may notice what if player 2 is bigger than player 1, then we have a negative number. So we can do abs, which takes the absolute value. The absolute value is just removes the negative sign, it does a negative sign. So abs 1 minus 2 will just find the difference between 1 and 2. So we need to ensure that this difference is at least 2. So if it's any smaller than 2, we should do, if it's any smaller than 2, we should do 2 minus that difference. So if the difference is currently 0, well then they require 2 more points to win. If the difference is 1, they require 1 more point to win. So these are the 2 requirements that must be met. Now, how do we know which one is a requirement that we need to consider in this specific case, right? Because we don't always need to consider one of them or the other, and they may give us the wrong answer. So in this case, we can actually just take the maximum of the 2 requirements, and we can be sure that the maximum of the 2 requirements is going to be the correct one. And so we can take the maximum and simply print that out. And the reason this works is because, for example, if this case is met, so say one player has 6, one player has 7. Well, according to this case, the answer to this question is going to be 1, because a player with 7 points only needs a single extra point to win, because they will get to 8, and that's a difference of 2. But according to this requirement, well, the player needs 4 extra points to get from 7 to 11, and so 4 is actually the correct answer here, because we don't want to just get to 8, we want to get to 11. And so this is why we have max here, and this is just a really slick solution to this problem.